Some might say that I'm a loner, but I just call it being free. I am my heart's only owner.
Hey everyone, I'm Calvin with Southern Country Living, and for today's video I'm going to be doing a video on our prepper cooking series, and this video is going to be cooking a soup that's using only cans and supplies that came out of our prepper pantry. To start off with, I'm going to be using 1 can of corned beef, and this is going to be our meat in our soup. You can leave this out, you don't have to use it at all, or you could substitute it with chicken. That's your choice, but I bought some of these on our prepper haul last week, and I want to show everybody how to use this. I'm also going to be using 1 can of mixed vegetables, and I've already got these opened up here. I'm going to be using 1 can of diced tomatoes, and I'm going to be using 1 can of light red kidney beans. I'm going to be putting a few different seasonings in it, and I'm going to be adding some of these beef cubes to it for flavor. Now I may put some rice in it at the very end. If I do, I'll put just a little more water in it, but for right now I'm starting it off with 4 cups of water. And what I'm attempting to do is just make this as basic as I possibly can to show you how you can make a really good meal using only the cans that you have stored up in your pantry. Now, my granddaughter, Kim, she was telling me, she said, "Pop, you need to take and instead of cooking it inside the house, said, you need to go out there and start your fire and cook it on open fire." Well, if I didn't have any electricity or gas, that's what I would do. But for today's video, I'm just going to cook it in here to show you how it turns out. And also, Marie has got some Mexican cornbread muffins that she put in the freezer about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when she made some. So we got a few of those left over, and I'm going to be getting a couple of those out to have to go with the soup. First thing I'm going to do is open this corned beef up. Now, from what I understand, a lot of people has never even used corned beef, but this is something that I've been eating pretty much all my life. And when I was in the Army, definitely ate it when I was in the Army. There's a meal that they make in the Army using corned beef, and one day I may get around and actually make that meal and show that to you also. So let me go ahead and start opening this up. And what you have to do is put your little key on there and you just turn it around. Let me show you over here. I'm not sure how good that's going to show up, but you just wind it all the way around till you get the lid off. Yeah, when I was in the Army, I ate plenty of, it's called SOS for some of you guys that's been in the military. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And it's basically just corned beef with gravy served over toast. And I absolutely love it. Okay, let me get this. Okay, so there's my corned beef. And what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and break it up a little bit so that it'll be a little bit easier to break up once I start cooking the soup. Okay. Next, I'm going to add my canned vegetables. Now these vegetables does have a little bit of a juice in them. You can leave this in or you can take it out. But if I was prepping, because of all the nutriments in the juice, I'd just leave it in there and go ahead and cook it. So we'll go in with 1 can of vegetables. And I like this particular type. It's the vegetable medley. It has some lima beans in it, a few pieces of celery, some green beans. It's just a good combination. And like I said, we're going to use 1 can of diced tomatoes, and these are the Italian flavored. Go ahead and pour these in. I love my tomatoes with the Italian seasoning. Okay, same thing with the beans. I'm going to go ahead and use the juice that's in the can. And on the beans, you could leave these out. You could use white navy beans. You could use any type of bean you wanted to use on them, or you could leave them out. But I like a little extra beans in my soup. Okay, next I'm going to add 4 cups of water. I'll go ahead and turn my heat on here. Okay, and on these bouillon cubes, let me show you what they look like. Now I know there's several different types of bouillon you can get, but this is just the one I like using. They come in little red cubes. I've already got 4 of them open. Just drop them in. As it cooks, they'll start to dissolve, and that'll make your beef broth. For seasoning, I'm going to put, and you can put any type of seasoning you want, but I'm going to put some Italian seasoning. You really won't need any salt because it's got plenty of salt in it already. Some Italian seasoning. I'm going to put a few of these little minced onions. Now if you had fresh onions, you could cut you up an onion and put in there, but this is something that you can prep, the little minced onions. And when you are cooking meals, if it was an emergency and you're trying to cook your meal, you want to have something to flavor it up to make it real good. Put a little bit of garlic powder. And this is something that Marie likes to use a lot, and I really, have not used it quite often myself, but Marie says she loves putting onion powder in the recipe if you don't have a real onion, and so that helps give it some onion flavor to it. And the very last thing I'm going to add is just a little bit of these red pepper flakes, and I don't like my food too hot, so I have to be careful on these, but I just want a few just for a little kick to it. Okay. Give it a good stir. It's going to take it a few minutes to come up to a boil and start cooking, but as it comes up to a boil, I'll keep it stirred up real good. And if you're in an emergency situation, if you can just heat this up for 5 minutes, you're perfectly safe to eat it at that point. But I've discovered that if you can let it cook for about 20 minutes, it makes the beans and the vegetables be just a little more tender. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to let it come to a boil, then reduce the heat, cook it for about 20 minutes. When it gets through cooking, I'll be back and I'll put some in a bowl and plate it up for you and show you how it turns out. Okay, the soup is just now coming to a boil, and it's just, barely boiling there. But don't that look good? It really smells good. You can use this corned beef, and it takes the place of ground beef, and you can store it. It comes in cans, and these cans only cost $3 a piece, at current prices right now. So I think it's a great deal. So I'm gonna set my timer and let this cook for about 20 minutes, and then it'll be ready to eat. Okay everyone, I'm back. This soup has been cooking for 20 minutes, and it is very hot right now. But let me get this other spoon so you can see how it looks. I know one thing, it sure is smelling good. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead on mine. I went ahead and microwaved these Mexican cornbread muffins that Marie made, and I like to put mine in the bottom of my soup. So I'm gonna go ahead and break mine up and put it in there. And don't know if you can see it, but let me hold this over here where hopefully you can see that if the camera will focus on it. But it's got lots of those jalapeno peppers in there, so it's a pretty hot soup, or pretty hot cornbread. Now Marie likes her cornbread just on the side, so I'll just put hers right there. And let me go ahead and get me some soup. And this measuring spoon here is exactly 1/2 of a cup. And for myself, I like to put about 2 spoonsful in here, which would be 1 cup of food. So that'll be mine. And let me get Marie one. And I'll do the same thing. I'll put 2 spoonsful in hers. And like I said, I'm gonna let this cool for just a minute before I take a taste of it. Okay everyone, I took a couple of pictures of this and I let it cool for about 2 or 3 minutes. I know it's going to be very hot, but let me just get a quick taste of it. That first bite's very delicious. Let me get a big piece of the meat in this one here. Thumbs up on that for sure. That's very delicious. It's a very quick meal, and like I said, this is part of our prepper series. And if we was in an emergency situation and you had to prepare this food, like I said, you could add some rice to it, make it go a little farther, but this will serve at least 6 servings and it don't cost that much. You've got it already prepped. It's going to be you're going to really appreciate it if you ever need it. And as far as just cooking it for a normal meal, Marie and I, we cook this anytime. This is going to be our dinner meal tonight, and I promise you we're going to enjoy it. Very good. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it gives you a couple of ideas of what you can do as far as prepping and cooking the canned foods that you prep. Be sure and subscribe to our channel and watch for more videos like this. And we thank everyone for watching. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you on our next video.
We were young and we were free and running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced and life was smiling. We were young and drunk in love. A few years later I have started thinking, if it's just love in every glass I'm drinking, we're like one and without you I'm sinking. I'm always shining next to you. Oh, I got you, there's no reason to chasing pavement on my